All right, so plan today is similar to the plan it's been for the last couple of days of streaming. That is, we are going to be building some decks, some draft decks. Going to be winning with some draft decks. We're going to be drawing perfect land distributions. All of our things will happen easily, without pain, without suffering, without salt. Hey, Kex. Welcome back, man. Oh, right. And last night, I may have been drunk late at night listening to music videos. So it looks like the game volume's up a little bit. Teach you everything, Kex? All right. I'll start from the beginning, just for you, Kex, because I think if you haven't liked card games before, this may be one that you particularly enjoy. Hey, QED. It's weird seeing a sub icon next to your name, QED. Yeah, not quite a recovery day. I wasn't up that late. It's just, do you guys ever do that? I do this occasionally. I like, when I'm pleasantly buzzed, to go watch, like, a lot of times it's just, like, really cool images. Sometimes it's, like, just really attractive girls doing things. Sometimes it's, like, really extreme sports. Sometimes it's, like, just a lot of times people doing cool things or having a lot of fun with, like, really good music set to them in the evenings before I go to bed. I'm like, oh, man, it's a great way to, like, end of the night. It just leaves me, like, super fired up. Wrong answer, not wrong expression, not fired up, just like mentally relaxed, kind of. Anyways, so I had one of those nights last night. So that was the end of my night last night. And here we are playing Magic the Gathering Arena. I can't imagine that this would be anything except exactly what I just described, because it's generally very relaxing to never draw lands. So I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm getting at. All right, let's jump in for a competitive draft. So here's how competitive draft works, Kex. Ready? Maybe we'll use this as the over-explained deck. Competitive draft, you're going to play 5 matches, or rather, you have 5 wins or 2 losses for matches to before the deck ends. Each match is best of 3. So I could on match the first win, I could have, doesn't have to be a win. I could just lose the first 2 games, or I could lose the first game, win the second game, lose the third game, or any combination thereof. So it's best of 3. So the goal of this deck is to win 5 best of 3s. So buy in. This is going to give us, so we have 3 packs for the draft. We're creating our deck with the draft portion of this. 3 packs up here. The first pack is here. We'll pick a card, pass the pack. Pick a card, pass the pack. Pick a card, pass the pack. And we're creating a deck out of this. All right, first pack. First pack is kind of weak for us, in my opinion. The cards that stand out are the both of these are fairly weak removal. Strangling Spores and Shock. Shock can go face, which is something, but 2 damage face really tends not to be all that relevant. Strangling Spores is a fairly expensive 3 damage. It's not really 3 damage. It's -3/-3, which is slightly different, but fairly expensive removal. The Satyr Enchanter we played with yesterday. A little bit of a card engine if you go a very white-green heavy, enchant-heavy deck. Encyclopedia is a very slow way to draw cards, but has artifact synergies. The Drill Master is great in a white-red weedy deck for getting wide. Oracle's okay as a green kind of mediocre creature that has a cantrip on it. The Rejuvenator is decent as a land production engine. Like, you play this, ramp up a little bit with it. It's a 1/1 body afterwards. That's really not bad. And the Gravedigger is decent as some sort of recursion. 4 for a 2/2 is pretty pathetic body, but it does bring a creature back from the graveyard to your hand. All of those are okay. None of these are good. Drake's okay too. Disperse is okay. Like, this pack really doesn't tell me a lot. Hey, Ondridge. It's good to hear, man. I think when I look at this, I am between the Strangling Spores, the Shock, the Gravedigger, and the Encyclopedia, I think. Also, Kex, you can mouse over any of the cards with the overlay, so you should be able to see them and read them and figure out what the fuck they do. Although, if you're really beginning at this game, probably it's a little bit overwhelming. I guess if you're really beginning at the game, let's even step back 1 step further. The cost at the top right, those symbols plus the stuff at the top right, represents their cost to cast. So for this, for example, this card is both a white card and a green card. It takes 3 mana total to cast, one of which has to be a plain source, that's what the white symbol is, one of which has to be a forest source, that's what the green symbol is, and one of which has to be a source of any color. You can use any mana, that's what the 1 is. So 3 total, but 2 of them are specific sources. This is 5 total, 1 of them has to be a green source, 4 can be whatever. The power at the bottom right is power and toughness, attack and defense basically. The middle stuff tells you what type of card it is. This is a creature card. This is an artifact card. This is an aura card or an enchantment card. And then the color of the, where it says M19 here, is its rarity. Generally, rare cards are stronger, but not always. Okay, so the very, very, very basics on this one. This is a really hard pick for me. There's nothing, the reason why it's so hard is they're all fairly mediocre. Nothing stands out. Pick one, pack one, you're looking towards spores. It's such mediocre removal though. Single color removal, sure, but is it better than just shock? I mean, I guess it kills a couple more flyers that we're interested in killing with 3s. This is kind of a combat trick. You can block and utilize that. Trade's a little bit better. See, this card, I probably want to play it if I get it in my deck, but I'm not super excited about having it. I'm leaning a little bit towards Encyclopedia at the moment. I get to pick 1 of 15 40 times. I don't actually, I think it's more than that, Kex. I think I end up with more than 40 cards, but yeah. Oh no, wait. Because I think I'm picking, I don't remember how many picks it is, honestly. We'll rotate the pack. I think I get like 2 picks out of most of the packs. Oh. Gravedigger for you. Encyclopedia. Normally I don't spend quite as much time on this pick, but this pick is weird to me. I mean, it's a little bit tough to shape the deck off of this alone. Do I adhere to the bread system of drafting? Bread being bombs first, removal second, evasion third, aggression fourth, and dregs or duds last. Not quite. I think that's fairly good. I use that as a guideline a lot of time, but I think synergy needs to be in there somewhere, and it's not reflected in that drafting system. Yeah, you end up with 45 cards total, right? And you draft your deck. You're going to end up with a deck that's 17 lands and 23 cards. So if you have 45, you end up cutting 22, right? So Strangling Spores will get played if I have a strong pack. Encyclopedia is just totally different color here. I don't know if it's fast enough to do anything a lot of times in this format, but well. Yeah. I don't know. I can't really get a remove from the removal. There's no bombs here, so if you look at bread, it's removal next. Is this card a bomb? I mean, it's a little bit tough to define a bomb, but let's grab the Strangling Spores. Is probably the more solid removal card. Okay, pick 2 totally dumps on our pick 1. So there's some fairly good cards in here. There's Electrify in the color of the shock we passed as a decent removal spell, 4 for 4. I think it's a little bit better than Strangling Spores most of the time. We've got a Dreadmaw as a decent creature. Probably not a bomb, but still a very solid, decent green creature. The Stag is one of the best white creatures out there. Probably one of the best white commons out there. Font of Renewal as a decent little artifact. Skyrider Patrol as a fairly slow, potentially game-winning creature. 2/3 who buffs your other guys. And Mirror Image as a pretty decent 3-drop creature, so long as you have creatures that have on-cast effects, because it does trigger an on-cast effect when you cast it. Awkward here. Hey, yo, Jimbo. No idea yet. I think synergies are a little bit farther ahead than that QED, but I hear you on the breast. The breast system would be a good system. Has Stag ever let me down? No. Stag pretty much wins games, but I don't really, I mean, this is awkward, right? Like, I get overcommitted on my first pick. So a lot of times I'm like, I pick black to begin with. I want to stay in black. And a lot of times you just toss your first pick if it doesn't synergize with the rest of the deck you're building. I kind of want that Skyrider Patrol. I don't think any of these other ones represent bombs. Maybe Salvager of Secrets has some synergy with Strangling Spores and a slow control deck. We can get it back and use it a couple times, but it's very slow doing that. Stag is great, but I don't know. With the first, I could just ignore this first pick and then draft white and pick Stag here. But the Skyrider Patrol is pretty damn strong when it gets going. Not that it gets going very often. A lot of times it just doesn't do anything. Hey, Gorby. But I do like blue-green. If I can get the right cards in there, the unblockables. Let's try Skyrider Patrol and see. This is close to a bomb, or the other cards are just fairly strong. This card can actually individually win games. So let's grab Skyrider Patrol and see. So now we're in 3 colors all over the fucking place, and it feels pretty bad. All right. Black is just a two-headed zombie, which kind of sucks. The rare's gone from this pack, presumably something interesting. So Snapping Drake, an Essence Scatter, a Bristling Boar, and a Sentinel. Of those cards, when I look at these, Reclamation Sage is in there too, but I'm not picking it this early, I don't think. I think Make a Stand is very strong. We could go a fourth color and just keep speculating on colors, but our deck is not starting to come together if we do that. This would, of course, been great. I mean, I immediately regret, because I kind of wish I had gone Shock, Stag, Make a Stand, and have started a Boros deck that was just ridiculous. I do like that one, but no, I think we're going to look at probably Boar, Essence Scatter, or Drake here. Drake is a 3/2 flying evasive creature. The Boar as a fairly decent aggressive creature, just 4/3, can't be blocked by more than one. Our Essence Scatter here. The land is okay, I think, too early. It's the second Woodland Stream we've seen. Can get that later. Let's grab the Essence Scatter. I have a hard time using these, but that doesn't mean they aren't good. Ooh, so I just hit one of my favorite cards for blue-green, which is the Guide. Let's grab the Guide here as a totally decent 3-drop. 3 for power, 3/2. That has a very good secondary ability for breaking through stalled boards. Spider's interesting, the Pioneer's interesting, but the Guide is very interesting to me. Uncomfortable Chill is still a decent draft. Field Creeper could end up something if we have some artifact synergies, but I haven't seen any yet. So let's grab the Guide. All right. This pack is a little uninteresting. Divination's playable, Omen Speaker's decent, Dwindle is decent, especially with no removal yet. Plummet is decent as a sideboard card. Manolith maybe, but we don't really have a lot of things to synergize with Manolith quite yet. I'm going to grab the Omen Speaker. The Dwindle is a really close pick here. I do like Dwindle, but I also like Omen Speakers. I need some early drops. Colossal Majesty probably doesn't feel like a Majesty deck to me, but the rest of the cards are weak enough in here that I'm not super excited about. Sentinel is okay. Could grab Abnormal Endurance with the idea that we're not sure we're out of black quite yet. But I'm kind of sorting towards black-green, or green-blue. You pass the pack, Kex. Imagine there's, I think it's 8 of you sitting in a circle or something like that, passing a pack around. And you pick a card, pass the pack. Eventually that pack will come back to you. So you're going to get 2 picks out of these packs. So yes, it's like a new set spawns, but it's not really. It's think of it as a persistent pack that's being passed around a table of 8 people. So sometimes you'll get cards from your first pack back, but you're never going to get more than 2 picks out of any given pack. All right, so looking at these, I have no 4-power creatures yet. I could get some for that. The Sentinel is an okay 2-drop, but I'm not an exciting 2-drop for me. I'm going to speculate on the Majesty and see if we can find something to synergize with that. Okay, just found one of our guys who synergizes. Gift of Paradise is an interesting little ramp spell that gives us mana fixing. I'm not super excited about it. I think I'm more excited about the Dreadmaw. It's one of our finishing creatures. Let's grab a 6/6 Trampler. The other picks would be the Cancel or the One with Machine. We have no artifact synergy, so this is really unexciting, and I don't like Cancel. I think it's very expensive for what it does here. So the Dreadmaw seems like it has synergy with our Majesty, whether or not it happens. Second Guide is really nice, in my opinion. Grab that. This has synergy with what we're trying to do, create some sort of early pressure followed by unblockable threats later. It's a 3-drop. Seems really nice for this. All right, so this is our first pack. We were just talking about this, Kex, right? So this, if you remember our very first pack, it had all these cards in it plus a bunch of others. That's because our pack has come back around. You can see that no one wants the rare because the rare is terrible. We have a couple options here. Talons of Wildwood, not bad. Elvish Rejuvenator, not bad. And Rock's Oracle, not bad. I can see that ramp is going to be good for us already. The Guide uses ramp, Skyrider Patrol could use ramp, and Colossal Dreadmaw are all pretty happy with some ramp. Are there other players picking? At the moment, no. The game is in beta at the moment. Their plan is to have it be other players picking eventually, but the moment it is bots you're drafting against. Yeah, the drafting is super fucking fun, Kex. Super fun. Okay, so looking at this, I'm probably taking the Rejuvenator. The Oracle is tempting, has Colossal Majesty synergy, draws us some cards, which I like. It's a body, but I think for the moment I can actually use additional mana. And so a lot of times a card like this accelerates your mana curve, right? You're putting mana down faster so you can play bigger things sooner. That's great, but a lot of times it doesn't matter that much, especially if you draw this in the mid game. If I draw this on turn 5 and I already have the mana or something like this, a lot of times it doesn't actually accelerate anything. But I have other things that I can use mana for, so having more mana is not a downside for this deck. So I think I'm going to graph the Rejuvenator here as a 1/1 body with a strong on a cast effect. Woodland Stream or Talons of Wildwood. I'll take my first dual land. So this is in my colors, but it comes into play tapped. It's a little bit slower than other lands, but has a little bit of mana fixing in it. It's that or the Talons, but I think I'm going to grab the Woodland Stream. Second Woodland Stream versus Plummet versus Boar. That's more challenging. Also looks like, by the way, that green is not being picked by the bot right now, or the bots right now, so green looks a little bit open. I wouldn't mind a Boar. It's a pretty decent little creature. Wouldn't mind a Plummet for the sideboard, and I wouldn't mind a second Woodland Stream. That's pretty hard. I don't see a strong reason yet to be splashing blue-green. Like a second Woodland Stream might be nice, but isn't amazing for us. And I kind of want a decent solid creature. I'm going to grab the Boar and hope for a Plummet a little bit later in the sideboard. Giant Spider as a 2/4 can block flying creatures is quite nice. Let's grab him. Plummet for the sideboard is great. And a Fraying Omnipotence, probably in a Bog Stopper, and just neither of these things are going to be any good for us. Okay, so pack 2. We're pretty solidly in blue-green, or rather right now we're pretty solidly in green with a very little small amount of blue right now. So we should be thinking about that as we continue to draft. Maybe the second Woodland Stream was actually worth it, because at the moment I could just go green with almost no blue at all. This pack, what do we see? See a Rejuvenator. Same argument as before. Does accelerate our mana curve, does have some synergy with the fact that we are spending a bunch of resources. I don't even know what this card does. 10 mana, that's uncastable. You cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. That's fucking useless. So we won't be playing that. The 2/2 Wind Mage, not particularly exciting. It is 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer, which is totally reasonable with some extra side effects. It's okay. The Omen Speaker, 1/3 for 2. I do like this card. Some decent white cards, but I don't see us playing white right now. Although we could go blue-green white and throw in white for like mid-game and late-game removal. But I don't see a strong reason to do that yet. The Hieromancer Cage is not going to come around. This is going to get picked. It's a pretty premium card. So, yeah. Oh, what's a sideboard? That's a good point. So Kex, when I'm playing best of 3, I'm allowed to change my deck in between each game. So I can adapt my deck with the cards I've drafted that I wasn't using to better beat my opponent in game 2 and game 3. I'm going to grab Elvish Rejuvenator again, I think. I think it has fine synergy with their deck. A second one is not going to hurt us. Let's grab that. That or the Omen Speaker. But at the moment, I'm a little worried we're not going to end up in green at all. Another powerhouse white card coming through here. Some decent red ones. The Siegebreaker Giant's great. Sure Strike's great. Havoc Devil's okay. We've got a Dwindle in here. I think we're going to pick this up as our first piece of removal. I'm seeing almost no synergy yet with Colossal Majesty, so I could grab a second, but I don't think I want to. Let's take the Dwindle. Push us in a little bit more blue. This is still fairly early. This is about midway through pack 2. Some good ones for us here. Essence Scatter again, decent. Colossal Majesty. Colossal Majesty. I don't know why I said that when I moused over Snapping Drake. Snapping Drake, totally decent. 4 for a 3/2 flyer. And the Basilisk, very good in my opinion. 2 for a 2/2 Death Touch. Slows people down. Often trades nicely. Could go either of those. And it totally lost. How's our curve looking? Got a 4 2s already. 3/2 flyers thing, but not that exciting. I don't know. We do have to do damage at some point. Our beatdown plan does involve Snapping Drakes. Would I rather a second Essence Scatter or Snapping Drake? I'm never excited to cast this creature. Like, it never trades up. Ever. It only ever trades fucking down. But it would be nice to have a flyer. Right now we don't even have a flyer. Do I find I do better in competitive or quick? I find I do better in competitive draft. But it might be the set. So Essence Scatter over Basilisk. I kind of hate Essence Scatter whenever I play that card. I always want it to be good and it's never good for me. But maybe. I have a hard time keeping mana up for it. I'm going to grab the Basilisk. Am I? Card has just so much value. It's just a very solid 2/2. But it's a 2/2 for 3, and we've already got a bunch of 2/2s. We already have a bunch of 3 drops. I have a fair number of 4 drops already, too. All right, fine. I'll draft the Snapping Drake and regret every moment of it. It is another blue card, so that's something. I'll draft the Oracle. We don't have a lot of blue-green creatures here right now, or blue-green picks at all. I have no instance to cast to, no instance or sorceries to get back with the Omen Speaker. It's not true. I've got 1 Essence Scatter. That's it right now. So Oracle as just a draw card for us. Seems fine. Second Dwindle seems a better pick than the Boar or the Scholar. So we'll pick that up. This is our quasi removal. Not very excited about Dwindle as removal. Second Dreadmaw is kind of nice. Ghost Form's a very garbage card, while Vine's also fairly garbage. Don't need black splashes. The Harpy's interesting, but I think the Dreadmaw as a win condition for us is a thing. Spider, Axe, and Scholar. We have no artifact synergy yet, so Scholar does very little for us. Another Spider is kind of whatever. I actually don't mind an Axe here as a... has synergy with the guides, in my opinion. Has synergy with flyers. I'm going to grab that Axe over the second Spider. Omen Speaker Wield. So this is the first pack that we looked at again. Or one of the, maybe the second pack we looked at. An Omen Speaker came around and I want that card, and we have more blue in our deck. So at the beginning of this pack, I was thinking we might be cutting blue. But the more of this pack that revealed, the more blue we picked up. So I think an Omen Speaker here is really good for us. Do I have a main game anymore? I've been a variety streamer for a while now. I kind of bounce between games that interest me. And this one's interesting me a lot right now. Recollect is a very slow recursion effect. Although green-blue really doesn't recur very often, so I guess that could be okay. Blue recurs a little bit with things like Salvager of Secrets in this format. But I'm not terribly excited about the Recollect. I'm not excited about the Wall of Vines at all. I'm interested in a Root Snare right now for when I sub in versus Boros decks. Let's grab Root Snare. Take Naturalize for the sideboard. Take a Totally Lost, but I'm expecting not to play it. It's just in my color. These are all not things we're going to play, so I'll just draft the rare one. Highland Game versus Tolarian Scholar. I'm going to draft the Scholar. Trades very well with any sort of aggressive deck. It might make main deck, but I don't think so. Take the Wall of Vines for sideboard and the Stitcher Supplier because they're stuck. All right. Pack 3. I want to play with the Death Baron one day. One day I'm going to get to do that. Second Stag. If I was white, I would have picked that second Stag in a heartbeat. We are left with a more difficult choice. We've got Wolves or Drake. I've already got a Drake. I don't love the Drake. Wolves is such a mediocre pick, though. I guess I'll take a second Snapping Drake. Fuck, I'm not very excited about that pick. I think it's slightly better than Wolves, although Wolves are a more interesting creature. We've got a blue-white flyer. We've got a third Rejuvenator. We've got the Ghastbark Twins. I think Rejuvenator might wheel. There's also some blue that I'm not at all interested in, and a Spider. I'm going to grab the Twins again as another threat. We have 2 sources of ramp, and now we have 3 big dudes to ramp into. Kind of excited about that. Wow, another Rejuvenator, another Wolves, Sift, and Horizon Scholar. This is another big threat, and this is a 4/4 flyer for 6 with Scry 2. I'm going to take that and be pretty happy about it. Deck's getting pretty heavy. A lot of big cards in the back end. That's okay. I chronically underdraft 2s. I really shouldn't. Oracle versus Sentinel. Are there different types of cards in each deck? 1, 2, 3 are always random cards from the overall pool. I'm not sure what you're asking, Kes. Can you clarify the question? Can any card be in any of the 3 decks? What 3 decks? Oh, you mean sideboarding? Any of my cards can be sideboarded in. Like basically, this drafting, you draft yourself a collection of cards. You make the best deck you can of that. All the other cards you drafted can be changed in and out in between games. Oh, or packs random. Yeah, packs are random. So these are all packs. And the cards can be random in there. Yep. It's random by, so each pack has, I think, 3 uncommons, 1 rare, 1 land slot, and then 10 commons or 11 commons, whatever the difference is. So all the M19 ones can be found in here. You can see the land slot is occupied here. You can see that one of the uncommons is remaining and the other 2 or 3, I'm not sure how many, are gone, and the rare is gone in this pack. All right, so we're looking at Oracle, 3rd Drake, or Sentinel. I'm actually beginning to believe a little bit in Colossal Majesty, which makes the Drake a little bit less appealing. I've already got 2 of them. The curve says 5 here. I don't really want a Sentinel. I'm going to grab the Oracle, I think. All right. Uncomfortable Chill or Mirror Image or Druid. Druid is a ramp card, also a 2-drop, also a blocker, also a source of mid-game mana. I'm excited about the Chill. I'm hoping it comes back around because I need something to deal with the fucking wide aggro decks. Mirror Image has very little synergy with our deck. We do have some on-cast effects like the Rejuvenator or the Omen Speaker or the Oracle. But in general, our on-cast effects are a little bit weak until we get to the big guys. And yeah, like slamming down a 3-cost Colossal Dreadmaw would be nice, but I think I want that ramp here. So let's grab Druid of the Cowl. Why not the Sentinel? I'm just not very excited about the Sentinel. I've kind of been explaining. I'm really not very excited about this at all. I think I would much rather keep running Omen Speakers than Sentinels. I'm not trying to do early game damage with this deck particularly. I'm trying to ramp up, get big guys, and cause big threats. Between these two, for me, between Omen Speaker number 3 and Fountain of Renewal, neither are massively exciting, but I think Fountain of Renewal is less exciting than the 3rd Omen Speaker. This kind of fits my 2-drops nicely. I'm going to have 4 2-drops now, all of whom are 1/3, good blockers, good way to tie up the board, kind of like that. Nice. Uncomfortable Chill passes through, I think better than Bone to Ash. Bone to Ash is a guaranteed 2 for 1, but I have to have 4 mana up, and I'm not planning on having 4 mana up with this deck. I'm going to be pretty busy with my mana. I'll grab Uncomfortable Chill as a way to deal with the very wide aggressive decks. I'll pick up a Talons of Wildwood because I have no artifact synergy to take any advantage of Scholar, and we're getting pretty light in the last pack. I don't know if I'm going to see play on Talons of Wildwood, but it's possible. Totally Lost versus Thornhide Wolves. Totally Lost is instant interaction, but it's probably instant interaction I'm not really keen on playing with. I think I'd pick the Wolves up and consider playing that. That's close. Totally Lost might be better. I'll grab the Totally Lost here. I certainly don't want 2 of them, so that's kind of nice. None of these are playable for us. I guess there might be some world in which I want either a Millstone or black. Maybe the Millstone at one world if the game gets super grindy. I'll grab the color in our the card in our color, but I'm not expecting to play it. Uncomfortable Chill did wheel, so we got a 2nd copy of that, which is great. Mind Rot, but we're not playing it. And a Mountain. Okay, so our deck started off with black. Our first pick was Strangling Spores, but we didn't end up playing in black at all. We ended up blue-green with our 2nd pick, so our first pick was kind of wasted, but at least we didn't overcommit to that. Our deck's currently 47 cards. We need to cut it down to 40. 40 is the minimum you're allowed to play with. Why you play with the minimum is you play with it for consistency. With 40 cards as opposed to 50 cards, you're more likely to get your better cards. Not all cards in your deck are equal. You want to maximize the chances of drawing the winning cards that you can get. Better to play at a smaller deck. So we're going to get it down to 40 as soon as we can. Our deck is fairly curve heavy with these guys, but we do have 3 sources of acceleration between the Druid and the double Rejuvenator. I wish we'd got a green speaker, would have been really nice here, but we have what we have. I think the Marauder's Axe will see value in this deck. I think the Dwindle's our only source of removal. I'm going to cut the Scholar for now. I don't know about double Uncomfortable Chill right now. Colossal Majesty got better. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sources of Colossal Majesty, plus the Axe, plus the Skyrider, as a fairly decent number of ways to get value out of Colossal Majesty. So that's kind of a card I want to play right now, although I expect I'm going to be trimming these sources a little bit. The Boar. How do I make my interface like that? Click here, change deck layout. It's pretty nifty. It lets me just visualize a little bit more. We have a little bit more of a breakdown right now. We have 20 creatures, which I can cut a couple creatures, still be happy about that. I think when I think about this right now, I don't think I'm going to run 2 Uncomfortable Chills in the main deck. I'm not even sure I want to run 1 Uncomfortable Chill in the main deck. They might just come in if I'm dealing with Boros or other very aggro heavy decks. I think the Talons of Wildwood will get cut to begin with. Unsure about Giant Spider. There are going to be some flying annoyances. What about the Drakes? Yeah, the Drakes are on the cut list potentially. But I mean, you think about our win condition. Our win condition is do some damage in the early game with evasive creatures, such as Drakes, stall the board in the very early game, get a couple flyers in the mid game, and then get some very big, nasty dudes at the very end game. That suggests to me that a couple flyers in the mid game is decent. 3 cards left to get down. I don't think I'm playing Totally Lost in the main deck. It's a little bit expensive for me. Doesn't really counter things I want to counter. I'm not sure I need Essence Scatter in the main deck either. My goal is pretty simple. I want to get big creatures on the field in a reasonable amount of time. Let's drop the Essence Scatter. I can sub it in if I see some really nasty threats that I have a reason to do. And the last question for me is Spider. Spider has almost no synergy with this deck, but it is a way to block flyers. Although Drakes potentially block flyers too. Cut the board. Boar is kind of exciting to me. I like Boar. Boar's a decent body. Spider seems better than the Boar. Is it? There's an argument for Wolves here. Wolves is kind of a mediocre drop. So we need that one more cut. I'm happy with my 2 drops. Happy with my 3 drops. Wish I had that Basilisk in here. But what did we end up taking over the Basilisk, by the way? Took Boar over Basilisk, didn't we? Can't remember what that pick was. 2/4 is not a bad set of stats. Like 2/4s slow down boards, which I kind of want. Tempted to cut these wolves. I like slamming Thornhide wolves down on the board though. They're pretty nice to attack with. 4/5 is a lot of combat toughness. We've got our 4 big threats. Took a Drake over Basilisk. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes me not want to cut the Drake, even though I kind of hate this card. I'm not sure it's better than the 2/2 flyer for 3. Like I think it might be worse. It's just more expensive. One more card. So the ones that I'm thinking about are the Wolves, the Boar, or the Spider. So what am I considering when I'm making this cut? I'm considering curve a little bit. I'm considering the quality of interactions here. So we have a Colossal Majesty that I actually am fairly excited about. Colossal Majesty lets you draw cards. If you have, it's an enchantment you cast. If you have a creature with power 4 or more, you draw a card. So it's basically going to give you 2 cards per turn as long as you have a creature that's 4 or more in your turn. It gives you 1 in addition to what you're already getting, so you're drawing 2. I like the Oracles as a way of kind of getting towards my later cards. It's a pretty bad body. 4/2 almost always trades down, but it does trade, and it trades me and gets me a card, which is pretty good. Has synergy with the Majesties. All of these cards except the Spider have synergy with Colossal Majesty. I don't have a great answer to 2/2 flyers, but I do have both a Giant Spider. I could put it in my sideboard as well as a Plummet. So I could, for example, have this as a sideboard card. I'm kind of talking myself into playing this. My goal is to put pressure on the ground and beat them to death with that. So we're going to try this for now. I might regret the Spider. What I'd like to do is every time we draw the Boar guys or the Thornhide Wolves, think about what we'd rather have. Would we rather have Thornhide Wolves or Spider, or Boar or Spider? And we'll try this. So let's fix our mana curve. Just take a quick look at that. So we're running 10 forests and 6 islands. This is the default. This is too bad for us because I need islands in the early game to play Omen Speakers, and I need forests. I need a closer mix. We do have double greens, but double greens are at the end of our curve. I'm not worried about having double green by the time I hit 6 mana. So I'm going to drop this down to basically even. Let's go up to 8. 881 I think is fine. That's our 17 lands that I want. Deck is 40. We'll call this over explain. And what will be our image? I think our image has to be something more interesting than that. The Boar, the Guide, Colossal Majesty. Let's do Colossal Majesty. Some guy's toe is killing you. Okay. All right. Done. Deck is ready to go. I'm going to walk away from computer for just a second, and then we'll get started.